Hi, Whitney. Good morning. My name is Ellie. I'm Ellie Blaine.
Good morning, Ellie. How are you?
I'm doing really well.
Good.
Thank you. Casey,
Thanks.
unfortunately, is home with the stomach bug.
Oh.
She's been up since this morning, so we are here and we'll be admitting everybody soon. So thank you so much for joining early and being here.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited to be here. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. And I'll introduce you here in a second to my coworkers too. We have Megan Ayers, who is our Southeast regional specialist, and then Terry Thyssen is up in the Northeast.
Perfect.
I think Megan has offered to be our fearless moderator today. Well, voluntold. Thank you, Megan. Welcome back.
Absolutely my pleasure. I love trial by fire, so I'll try my best not to burn it all down.
And you were just going to share your screen, right, Whitney, when you...
If that's okay. Yep.
Yep. I just did that allowance. So if you want to
Okay.
trial it, you're welcome to, or we can just wait.
I can give that a go.
While you do that, I'm going to make sure I've made everybody co-host. Good morning, Terry. I hope you both had a good solar viewing.
It was amazing.
Awesome. I think we are already recording too. Unless you want to pause it and then restart it. It just... Good morning, Mary. I'm so sorry that I didn't admit you earlier, but welcome. You're in the right place.
No, thanks. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
And we do have your slides incorporated in here.
Well, it's 9 o'clock, so we want to get started. Great. Welcome everybody to Urban Updates. We are really excited to have a couple of special guests today. Unfortunately, 2 of our team members are not able to make it. So we're going to be trying to pick up the slack here. And so we hope that everything will be a seamless transition. So thanks so much for your patience in advance. Today we are going to be talking mostly about mulching practices, composting, and we have a couple of experts today to share their ideas with you. So I'm really excited to have them. Unfortunately, I'm having some difficulty advancing my slide. There we go. Too much, not enough. Oh, Owen, hey there. So like I said before, we're going to be mulching and composting, and we're going to be talking to some really great special guests. Then we'll have our statewide and regional updates, and then some Q&A or other resources or updates. So without further ado, let's start talking to Whitney Schlegel with, and unfortunately my slides are still not advancing, so we'll give them a second to catch up perhaps. There we go. From Marble Hill Farms in Monroe County. She's going to be sharing about her passion for wool and wool pellets, and she received a SARE grant for integrating wool pellets with specialty crop growing systems. So that's really exciting. I'm going to be sharing about my own SARE grant award. And then Mary Wells from Pollinator Partnership is going to be joining us to talk about her work with urban and small farm resources. Oops. Looks like I added the wrong spot. So we'll start with, sorry, Whitney. We'll start with you, Whitney.
Terrific. Thank you so much for having me this morning and letting me share my my passion for wool and as a sustainable fiber, and also as a way that we can utilize a biodegradable and restorative soil product for the soil. So if I could share my screen, I will. And there we go. Everybody see that okay? All right. I am Whitney Schlegel, and I am with Marble Hill Farm here in beautiful Monroe County. And I want to talk to you this morning about a way that we can utilize wool that can both promote its use in our fiber systems by helping helping sheep producers, as well as help our soil health, and that it is a way that we can utilize wool, which has been used for centuries, actually, as a mulch and as a way of enhancing soil fertility. That allows for increased productivity of crops. It enhances drought resiliency, and it reduces our need for chemical fertilizers as well as pesticides. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about what we know so far, and some work that we'll be doing with our Farmer Rancher grant, as well as building out teams to investigate more about sheep wool pellets, which I consider an integrated livestock system, a way of kind of differently thinking. While the sheep aren't actually on the ground, they are providing their fleece or the resources that are going to benefit our soil and growing systems. So let me say a little bit maybe about our farm to start off with. And so Marble Hill Farm is located in the southwest portion of Monroe County. We raise Shetland sheep for wool, and we sell our wool at the Bloomington Farm Stop Collective, at the Farmers Market in Bloomington, and various other unique seasonal opportunities. The Shetland comes in a wonderful natural color, which you can see in the display there, as well as I plant dye the white wool to provide other natural colors. Our new product that we have just started offering are the wool pellets, and we're also that's the focus of our Farmer Rancher grant, working with specialty crop organic growers. Our farm sits on the highest point in Monroe County, so we had a beautiful view of the eclipse yesterday, and it has beautiful vistas and rolling hills. The land is well suited for grazing. It's a little tough for row cropping and specialty crop growing, so we tried to maximize the land and be good stewards of the land. And so we raise principally livestock, and we do some growing in high tunnels in a small field. We raise low-line Angus cattle for grass-finished beef, and we raise poultry for eggs. And everything on the farm rotates and moves about throughout the grazing season. And then we, during the winter season, while the pastures are restoring and resting, we feed hay, so that we are a pasture-based livestock system. So today I want to talk to you about a problem as well as a solution. And that problem is that sheep need to be shorn, and that is often done principally as an animal welfare task, in that the price of wool in this country is for the FSA price will give you 40 cents a pound, but on the open market you can get, especially for dark and colored wool, non-white wool, you can get 5 cents a pound. And so it makes it very difficult for producers to be able to even pay the cost of shearing. So in addition, there is a lot of, there's waste wool that happens during the shearing process, which is the necks and the bellies and the breech. And then there's certainly fleeces that are not suitable for the textile industry or for other uses. And so there is a waste product as a consequence of shearing that is usually just put into a sinkhole or utilized perhaps on gardens and on the farm in which the sheep are being shorn. And so this is unfortunate, because the wool offers a real opportunity to, as a biodegradable fiber, as a nitrogen-rich fiber, to be utilized in growing systems and to provide a value-added product for sheep producers. And at the same time, just raising awareness of the value of wool as a natural fiber, one that is not going to contribute to our landfills if utilized in our clothing and other and home products and things of that nature. So that I'm excited about the use of sheep wool pellets, because it not only provides for the growing systems and a connection between our livestock and our growing systems, but it also is raising, I hope, awareness of the value of wool as a product. So locally produced wool pellets can be of great value in that they can, sheep producers can be paid for their waste wool. This provides a revenue source that can offset the cost of shearing, as well as perhaps additional funds. And it, as I said, promotes the use of wool as a renewable and climate smart commodity. The wool pellets can be added to the soil as a soil amendment. They can be utilized as a mulch, and they are a conservation practice that then can protect and restore our soil. And in fact, wool is recognized as a mulching practice within our NRCS best practices. I really strongly believe that this is a local solution, and I put Indiana there, but it could be regional within a state. But I think that there is lots of opportunity for sheep producers who want to engage in utilizing their waste wool to connect with specialty crop growers, specifically to connect our food and fiber systems. And as I said, the price producers are getting for wool, and this is wool that could easily be utilized in products, is still very low. And so we can offer sheep producers much more than they are getting for their wool, and that this then is able to be pelletized and then utilized in our growing systems. So wool pellets have been shown to reduce the growing time. They provide it's a protein fiber. It's grease wool, so it's not scoured, and it has 9%, between 9 and 12% nitrogen. It is wool holds about 20 to 30% of its weight in water, so it can provide drought resiliency and reduce the need for irrigation and watering. It also, as it expands, the pellets expand, they can aerate the soil as they expand, and this can help with the physical properties of soil, especially in our clay soils. And wonderful thing about wool is that it has scales. They're microscopic, of course, but these scales are a deterrent for things like snails and slugs. So it can offer pest control, and it can help build organic matter in the soil. And so I want to talk more about each of these with you, and look at some research that we do have available, and then talk about the research that we're going to be doing here in Monroe County. And so this just shows the kind of the life cycle of wool pellets, so that you start off with your sheep, and those are Shetland sheep, which produce a very fine wool, and where a lot of breeds, they don't necessarily have wool that is suited for textiles or other, but are a dual purpose breed, often raised for both wool and meat. But the sheep then is shorn, and then the raw wool is that can be utilized is skirted, and then can be processed at a mill or sold. The problem we're currently having in the Midwest is that our wool broker that we utilized since the 1800s went out of business last May. And so we don't have, as a sheep producer, anywhere to sell or broker our wool. And so often shearers serve as that middle person where that's been an issue. So now our sheep producers in the Midwest are even more challenged than they were previously. But the raw wool that is not suitable for making into a product is then shredded in a shredder, and then put into a pelletizer to make the wool pellets, which are easily stored and easily make application of the wool a lot easier. And then they are utilized to enhance the soil health by, especially as a source of nitrogen and a source of carbon. So I want to share with you some of the evidence that we have so far regarding soil health for the application of wool pellets as principally a soil amendment, but there is the use of some raw wool as a mulch, and a potential for shredded wool to be utilized as a mulch. To address those features that are over in the left-hand corner there, how it can improve our soil fertility, add organic matter, sequester carbon, enhance our water storage, as well as our infiltration through the effect it has on the physical properties of soil. support biodiversity. There's limited evidence on this at the moment, but what we do know lends some support to this, and also minimizing pest pressure, which has been a benefit that in the vineyards of Europe. In France, they use wool as a mulch to deter pests and protect the grapes, as well as to support water storage. So let's look first off at one of the first studies, or actually one of the only active groups that we have so far in the US, to my knowledge, that is looking at specialty crops, and that's at the University of Vermont with Kimberly Hagan and her team. And they looked here at broccoli as a fall crop. And these were some of the early findings. They also have a publication in agronomy that from their team. But this data is taken from an early study that they did with 3 farms. And this is from 2 of those farms, one that had a heavy clay soil and one with a sandy, dry soil, growing broccoli, and a 100-foot row with application of wool pellets shown in the blue bar, and then the orange bar shows the control. And so you can see that the dramatic effect in the sandy, dry soil of the wool pellets for the increased harvest that we have, or yield, 60% greater yield with the application of the wool pellets. And those were added into the soil. And then they had the control was whatever that farm already did for planting. And that's pretty common. And so that we don't want to add nothing. And so we want to build into our practices that we are already utilizing. And so that was the case in these farms. And in the picture that you can see in the bottom right hand, it shows the broccoli in a 100-foot row on one of the farms. And you can see that the wool pellets are on the right-hand side, where there's increased growth and richness of color in the leaves as well. And you can see the control on the left. The other thing that's worth mentioning is that the release of nitrogen from the wool pellets, which are again between 9 and 12% nitrogen, is a slow release. And it's been shown that this can be over that it can last for several seasons, so that it's a benefit, I believe, to the use when it could be an application that is utilized for multiple years, rather than an application that's made every year. This is a study using wool as a mulch, and this study came from a farmer rancher grant in 2012 out of Ohio, and they called it Kempe unsaleable wool. And you can see here they grew tomatoes, peppers, and eggplant, and that the tomatoes and peppers, there was a 40% increase in the daily harvest. That's how they recorded their data of the tomatoes and peppers. In comparison to the hay, which is what they used as a mulch. It was old hay, and then the control, which did not have any mulch. The and interestingly enough, you'll see that the hay and the without mulch, no mulch, performed rather similarly. So that in the for the eggplant, which has been shown to be kind of challenging for a lot of producers with respect to pests, especially, they had a 70% increase in the daily harvest of the eggplant, and they found that as they also were able to reduce their pesticide use, so that that was a benefit. This group, while it wasn't part of their grant, also grew sweet potatoes, and they found that the rows that were mulched with the raw wool were untouched by the deer, and the ones that were not mulched with the wool were devoured. And we have found similar results on our farm. The deer pressure for sweet potatoes is pretty strong, and so we grew them in our high tunnels for a while, but then it seemed that something else found their way to them. But if we grow them in the field with wool mulch, that the deer seem to leave them alone, and so we're excited about that possibility, as deer pressure is pretty strong. So wool pellets can act as a pest deterrent, or they reduce pest pressure. There is evidence for slugs and snails, especially in some of our vineyards and other and some European studies with specialty crops, so that it can, as you can see in the picture here, the scales make it difficult it works as a physical barrier for these little pests to make their way to the actual plant. So I wanted to share with you another study. This one is out of Germany, and where they have a product that they call Flora-Pel, and it's 10% nitrogen. And you'll see in this table, they applied it at different doses. So if you look across the TD, we're going to look at tomatoes first, and in this case, is what the TD stands. T stands for tomato, and dose 1, T dose 2, T dose 3, T dose 4, and a TD 5 is the control. And then they used in TD6 a wool pellet that was 8% nitrogen and 8 millimeters in diameter. The one on the bottom, the TC, is their standard fertilizer, and that they compared with as well. So the dose increases from TD1 to TD4, and then over here in the other, you can see the same is applied for broccoli, when B stands for broccoli, BD 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so I wanted to show you some of what they found in the use of Flora-Pel is just a raw, that's what they call their wool pellets, a raw wool that's been pelletized, and then the same with the TD6. So first off, we're looking at here at broccoli. And the broccoli here is, I highlighted those that are significantly different from the control. And so if we look at total yield, the dose, and remembering that they increase the dose as we go from the BD1 to BD4, at the higher dose, we see a significant difference between the control and the wool pellet application. There is, for all of them, a difference in the mean weight of the head in grams of the broccoli. And it's pretty significant as you look at the on the average of about 375 or so grams versus the 173 grams. And then over here, the mean diameter of the head as well is larger for the wool pellets compared with the control. And even if you look at the 8% nitrogen, again, remembering that what's really kind of cool about the wool pellets is it's a slow release. And so we're seeing that even with 8% that we get a very significant, in fact, in some ways larger than that of the doses of the 10%, with the exception of the highest dose. So that, and the p-values are given down here so that you can see which of the characteristics demonstrated a significant difference from the across all the treatments. In the tomatoes, again, a similar trend is seen where you see the significant difference between the control and the wool pellets with the exception of the lowest dose. And then the net yield is, again, with the higher dose TD, the 3 and 4 is a significant margin difference between that and the control shown in the highlighted in blue. The so that in terms of offering fertility and that yields a greater volume of harvest, the wool pellets are showing to be an organic way of fertilizing the crop. And there was a lot of other data in this study as well that demonstrated a reduction in pest pressure, and also they did a nutrient analysis that demonstrated increases in nutrient density of the fruits and vegetable. So drought resiliency or decreasing our water use is a really important consideration for our crops, as relying on precipitation, natural precipitation has become challenging and irrigation is necessary. And so this study was done by Wild and his team in Utah. So they Wild Valley produces pellets, and they were actually the pellets that were utilized in the Vermont study. And so they're on the West Coast, but they looked at a wilt, this wilt study to look at how wool pellets might be applied in potted plants, and then could they actually quantify in some way the water reduced water usage. And so this was shown here. A traditional soil had plants that were they were both the traditional and the soil married with the wool pellets were watered and then followed over a period of 2 weeks. And the traditional soil without the wool pellets had begun wilting on the first and second, and that the plants were died on the days 5 and 6 without water. And when you added the wool pellets, which again hold about 20 to 30% of their weight in water, that you saw that it took longer for the plants to wilt, and that they were alive for 2 weeks without watering. So for houseplants, that means you can go on vacation and not worry about your houseplants. I will say that I have tried and given away felted pieces for years, and raw wool at the market for people to try in their house plants, and I've done it in my own. And not all plants are amenable to wool, and some of them it either perhaps alters the pH of the soil, or that holds too much water. So our woody stemmed herbs, rosemary, for example, I'm not a fan of the wool pellets. So learning what crops respond to wool, and what are the characteristics of the wool pellets that are beneficial for some plants and not for others is an area that needs a lot of investigation. But it has been shown that the wool pelleting, when applied to the soil, can help reduce compaction, because as the wool is wetted, it does expand, and then as it dries, it contracts, and so that helps in the physical properties of the soil. So shown on the left is the shredded wool, and then on the right are wool pellets, and so that and then in the far right is an example of what, when you take the wool pellets and add the water, that it looks so much like the shredded wool, and so that then it will contract, not of course back to the pellet form, but it will still expand and contract with the addition of water. The other wonderful thing about adding wool to the soil is that it is about 50% carbon by weight, and so it serves to sequester carbon into the soil. And this, of course, is a benefit for the soil as well as for the environment. And this just shows you an example of that. Here is a study where we this was from the Vermont study, where they looked at the total nitrogen and total carbon, and the carbon nitrogen in the wool, and the Pro Booster is just their fertilizer that they naturally use, and they compared that to see the percent nitrogen in the wool relative to the fertilizer, and they're comparable. They're within a few tenths of a percent, but the total carbon is significantly greater, and therefore offering a greater carbon to nitrogen ratio for the wool. So waste wool can be purchased from sheep producers, adding revenue for them, and minimally offsetting the cost of shearing, and promoting the use of a renewable, climate smart commodity. And then when we add it to the soil, it can be a beneficial conservation practice that protects our soil, enhances the soil health by both the physical, chemical, and the biological properties. So here on Marble Hill Farm, we have purchased a wool shredder and a wool pelletizer. The shredder is shown up in the left-hand corner with a bucket of shredded wool. We currently are housing in our garage, and the shredding is a new addition. We purchased this from a system from Buskirk Engineering, and we kind of considered it to be our destiny because there are only two small pelleting system producers or production systems in the world right now. One of them is in the Czech Republic, and the other is here in Indiana. So we figured that that meant that we for sure were destined to be producing wool pellets. 3 hours away, we went up in these machines, picked up our system. It is the shredder weighs about 550 pounds, and pelletizer an equivalent amount. So they are heavier than they look. And the shredder is a new addition for Buskirk. They had the pelletizer, and they build pelletizing systems for all kinds of things, for feeds and for hops and for all types of stuff. But the And so what we found was with the long wool that we get from some of our sheep, that it was wrapping around the components of the pelletizer, and you'd have to take it apart and then clean it out and start over. And so shredding the wool has reduced that problem with the pelletizer. And so the shredder was an addition after working with several producers, and one of those producers is up in Manitoba, Canada, and has been a wonderful mentor for me in building my own pelletizing system and understanding how this all works. And so then you can see down in the left-hand bottom is the pelletizer with the front is open, so you can see that it has a tremendous engine and the motor in the bottom, and that has the top part there shown on the right is where we feed the raw wool in, and then it comes out as pellets. It has a die that has holes in it, and the steel rollers go over the press the wool through the die, and it heats. As it heats up, what's beneficial for this is the lanolin contained within the wool that helps to kind of glue the pellets together. So you don't have to add any water or worry too much about the moisture content. It's always sufficient to keep that pellet intact and give it integrity so that it spits out through that little chute. And then it's a pretty straightforward process. The machines are, I love them, kind of very easy to understand and to maintain. So we call our pellets sheep to soil, and trying to also share with the public as well as our specialty crop growers some of the benefits of wool and why and wool pellets in growing systems, and then recommended applications based upon the limited studies that we have. With our specialty crop growers, we of course are doing soil testing and then applying the pellets based upon the soil tests. So that is what we're going to be doing here for the next couple of years. We are working with Mavernine Farm, which is a organic specialty crop farm, as well as plants and nursery. And they are about 4 miles from us. And so it's a very easy collaboration. And Jonas and Rachel and baby Irie are shown here on the right-hand side on our farm, the cattle in the background. And then myself and my husband, Kip, are all working on this grant opportunity to implement wool pellets in our growing systems. So our goals for this Farmer Rancher grant were to integrate the sheep wool along with our into our plant systems, and to demonstrate the potential for reducing waste wool and providing that value-added product for the sheep producers, and look at how nutrient cycling in especially organic systems. Rachel and Jonas, Mavernine Farm is a certified organic farm here in Indiana, and evaluate the kind of best practices for how to implement them, and putting them side by side with the practices that are currently being implemented, so that we can see how this type of wool pellet system integrates with the current practices. What we're going to be growing here on Marble Hill Farm are potatoes, which we grow alongside mustard as a fumigant. Beans and peppers will be in our high tunnel. And we also will do some other crops that are not part of the grant. We do strawberry mulching with strawberries, which we've done for several years, and also sweet potatoes. In Aberdeen Farm, they're going to be growing broccoli, Brussels sprouts, potatoes, kale, carrots, watermelon, and spinach. And we're going to be measuring our soil pre and post, and then testing our pellets. We'll be looking at soil temperature as well as soil moisture. Soil temperature is an important measure in that wool serves as an insulation and keeps the soils both cooler and warmer depending upon the environment. And daily measures will be watering, ambient air temperature and humidity, precipitation, and also pest pressure. And then our harvest measures will be our yields, our days to harvest. It's been shown that use of wool mulch and wool pellets decreases the number of days from planting to harvest. And we'll be doing nutrient analysis of the crops as well, with and then quality assessments of those crops. So I want to thank all of those who work to support and inspire and implement our conservation best practices here on our both urban and rural farms. We have not been able to get where we have without all of the amazing people in our network and the help of many of you on this call. And so right now, opportunity for questions, or we can do that at a later time.
Whitney, there are a bunch of great questions here in the chat. So I think we have time for a couple at least. I'm really interested in some of the costs associated with utilizing wool, as well as Terry mentioned here, that pH creep. Are you seeing soils continue to hold on to that high pH as you move forward?
So there is limited data on the pH, but it does increase in the studies that I have seen, as much as especially for interestingly, what the studies have shown have been in more acid soils. So it has been reported as a benefit in some of the studies, and again, they're limited. But our experience here, anecdotally, and why we are interested very much in looking at that factor, is that for many years I mulched my blueberries with just the raw wool that came off during the skirting process, and my blueberries hated that. They of course love an acid soil, and so while I did not measure the pH, we already have here in Monroe County, at least on our farm, we have a rather high, what I consider a high pH. So they can be, it's running between 7 and 7.4 in most places. So that's high, and so it will be interesting to see how that plays out.
Gotcha. And from the top, Alyssa asks, how much does it cost to get wool pelletized? And is that a service that a mill offers? You answered that there's only 2 pelletization organizations, one of course being in Indiana, so lucky us. Is that something that you're looking to expand into, or is your pelletizing operation only big enough for just you guys?
So the vision that we have is to be able to create throughout the state give other producers an opportunity to pelletize wool as well. And so we are can and are purchasing waste wool from other producers. And so it would be, kind of the vision is that we would have producers pelletizing in, say, 4 or 5 locations, north, central, and south. And that would make it, they could buy the waste wool. They have their own, but they could buy the waste wool from their producers in their area. And then they would be making those important connections with the growers in their area, in their region, so that there would be this connection between the sheep producers and the specialty crop growers. I think it's important that be part of the vision, and that for example, in the producers of pellets on the East Coast in Vermont has very different soils and very different concerns than we do here in Indiana, and the same with Utah and the Southwest. So that I think that it's important that we work together to be able to look at the benefits of soil amendments and mulch that are produced from wool together, so that that is a synergistic endeavor. So to answer your question, my pelletizing system in total was about $17,400 roughly, fortunately, the SARE grant helped support some of the financing of that. Also, I pitched my idea to a startup dimension mill. It's called here in Bloomington, and Duke Energy sponsored a climate resilient product. And I won the pitch contest, so I was probably the only one. But nonetheless, I'm excited about that. It raised awareness about wool pellets, and so that helped pay for the electrical work to get it connected. So seeking out opportunities to kind of offset that, and then the sale of the wool pellets is shown there on the screen at the farmers market and various other markets, is from waste wool that was on our farm, is also helping to generate the revenue that will offset the cost of that pelletizing system.
Wow, congratulations. That sounds like quite an endeavor.
Thanks.
And is it okay to mix those wool pellets with another kind of mulch, like for instance, like a wood mulch?
Yeah, and in fact, there was a study that did that very thing back quite a long time ago, and they mixed. Where was that? Let me had a note. It was called. Oh, it was in Minnesota. They called it woolage, and it was because they had a byproduct from sawmills, so that it was 50% wood shavings and 50% wool that came from a byproduct of a blanket making company. So it wasn't actually raw wool. When you make blankets, you have to scour the wool in order for it to be processed. But nonetheless, it lacked the lanolin, but it was made up of 50% wool and 50% wood shavings. And they they had some limited amount of data. It was more about the and making that product. To my knowledge, that's no longer being made, but absolutely, and their kind of the reasoning behind that was to increase your carbon, which it already has quite a bit, and you'll find that in the processing of the wool pellets, that there's going to be a lot of times the reason that fiber is not being used in a textile or yarn or some other purpose is that it contains too much what we call fiber in the fiber. It's got hay and other things mixed in it that so the fleece isn't clean, and so that just adds to the carbon that's in the product.
Okay, really interesting. There's a couple of questions along the nitrogen release time or the amount of time that this product takes to decompose in the system. Can you share about that?
Sure. What we know is that, and from my own experience, that it varies depending on the soil, but anywhere from 6 months to 3 years. So that it's and it the yeah. So that's the best answer I have for that.
That is really interesting, especially as a supporter of soil health. The fact that possibly this wool could last as a mulch for 3 years is really interesting information that I think could really be a game changer on a lot of small farms. And then as far as where am I here? As far as nutrient density is concerned, are you looking into that in your SARE project as well?
We are, yes. And so we'll be looking at that for all of our products, or all of our plants.
Okay, lovely. I think you answered the information about application rates. Is it as effective if it's just a partial cover, or does it need to be full coverage in order to be effective?
So for as far as a mulch goes, if you were going to use the pellets as a mulch, I think that you would want 3/4, and then you would get some expansion as they got moistened, but that's been our experience. And then that if you're looking for weed suppression, then you need to have 3/4 to full coverage.
Okay, interesting. I think that we answered all the questions. I might have missed somebody's question, and I do apologize. You can, of course, jump into that chat and answer as we move forward, but I really want to thank you for your time. This was absolutely intriguing, and I really look forward to seeing more about your wool pellets and this study. So thank you so very much, Whitney. We really appreciate your expertise here.
Oh, thank you very much for having me, and yeah, wonderful questions. And I do want to let you know we are going to have a field day as part of our grant this fall, and so we'll be sure to let you know about that if you're interested in coming down and seeing the pelletizer and getting a first glimpse at what we're finding.
Heck yeah, count us in. We'd love to come and see you guys. So thank you very much. And it looks like we are going to move on to Mary Wells with the Pollinator Partnership. Mary, are you ready to share?
Yeah, I just had a couple of slides just to give you all information about what I'm doing.
Great.
Would you like me to share, or do you have those on your deck?
Sorry. It's up to you. You tell me what you want me to do.
I did send them over to Ellie, so you should have them on your deck, but I'm happy to share as well.
I certainly do. So let me share those.
Great.
Slide 14.
Thank you.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here, and I am excited to learn so much cool information from Whitney. And also just thank you all for the opportunity. I'm going to just quickly introduce myself and my role, but I am the Indiana partner biologist with the Pollinator Partnership. I am filling a role that has existed for about 1.5 years now for a 3-year grant program. And just to tell you a little bit about Pollinator Partnership and our mission on the next slide. Our mission is to promote the health of pollinators critical to food and ecosystems through conservation, education, and research. We're a nonprofit organization based out of California, San Francisco, but we're working throughout key regions in the United States and Canada, as well as other parts of the world. So in my role, I'll just really quickly summarize in respect for everybody's time on the next slide. Thank you. I'm working under our current conservation partnership program funded through the National Fish and Wildlife Federation or Foundation, sorry. I work alongside a counterpart over in Ohio. We work to enhance NRCS efforts in support of pollinator habitat establishment and pollinator-friendly farming practices, with an emphasis of providing assistance to the small and urban agriculture producers, as well as historically underserved producers in that community. In my particular program, we have some goals. We will be working to host some in-person pollinator conservation related training workshops for landowners and producers. 2 of which will be targeted toward women in agriculture. We will be working to produce short videos and blogs to interpret conservation practices and how they benefit pollinators, as well as to highlight some videos to highlight what we consider habitat heroes. So agricultural producers who have implemented conservation practices supporting monarch and other wildlife of concern as on the lands that they own or manage. We'll be providing pollinator habitat-related technical assistance to land stewards, resulting in generating management plans and applications to farm bill programs, and of course, reaching and actively engaging individuals through a variety of outreach, education, hands-on assistance. And then again, throughout all these efforts, there's the focus on small and urban ag, as well as increasing representation to those who come from underserved, underrepresented segments of the agricultural community. So if I hope to collaborate with some of you out there on various opportunities, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have anything in mind. Thank you for a brief minute of your time.
Thank you so very much. Does anyone have any questions for Mary? Okay. Then I will move on to regional updates. So first we will have Lafayette updates from the Northwest with Marianne, and she unfortunately is not able to join us today. So it looks like that Ellie is going to be taking it away. Ellie?
And I am so sorry. I think I hit a button and accidentally reversed her slides. She was on it, and just wanted to share about this upcoming opportunity, but we'll do that first, which is Soil Health for Small Farms and Gardens with Mike Smith in Tippecanoe. And they'll have that in Lafayette on April 25th. So just a great opportunity in advance of Earth Day celebrations. And Robert Sudsland, habitat specialist, will also talk about native plants for garden health. And then you can go to the next one. So just backing up, some highlights from this past month are a real shout out to Warren and Fountain counties who have joined together to form a local working group and will be called FLASH, Friends Learning About Soil Health. They've received their first site visit training with Marianne and are really excited to get started and provide visits to others in their communities. And at the Black Loam Conference at the end of March, was able to participate and host a booth and network with the growers that participated in the conference. And a high school student who is really excited about creating opportunities for getting out on farm in Indy. Marianne was able to participate with that and also support the nutrient management team that has released the new calculator and is working on other educational tools and integration within our CS practices. Our association annual conference is gearing up for next year, 2025, and we sit on that planning committee with representation. So Marianne participated in that. And then coming out of the Penny Purdue Ag Center research work in combination with Liz Maynard, they submitted a publication to the Midwest Vegetable Trial. Just a reminder that there are two presentations related to that, one on a brassica bolting trial in high tunnels, and another on compost and nutrient application. That's all.
So now we're moving on to the Northeast with Terry Thyssen. Terry?
Good morning. Thank you. So in the Northeast, the last month has been just all sorts of farm visits, been on all over the region doing soil sampling and visiting with people. Me and my bucket have become very good friends. It's been a lot of fun getting out onto lots of different farms, and some of it's been just baseline soil testing, some of it's been for troubleshooting. So I really enjoyed the opportunity to get out and learn more about what our small growers are doing out there. I also participated as a partner with the Soil Health on the Small Farm, Part 1 with Kosciuszko County, and we had Dan Perkins. That's the picture in the upper portion. And it was a really neat opportunity to be able to have so many great connections. Kosciuszko County is doing a lot of great work on connecting with their small growers. And Dan Perkins came out, and before the lecture that he had done in the class, he went to a local farm and just kind of walked around and talked to the farmers about what they're doing and how to improve some of their practices. And that was really neat just to see that farmer to farmer peer-to-peer learning. And then I also attended and gave a talk with Madison County with the Women in Conservation group on soil health. We had a small and motivated group learning about soil health, and that was good to be able to connect with new people that aren't as entrenched with soil health, but are interested in conservation. And lastly, I had a full day event in Allen County. They had a garden symposium, a whole lineup of really amazing speakers, and I was able to represent and talk about soil health and get people excited about different conservation practices specific to soil health. Next, please. Thank you. And then we have a few upcoming events for the Northeast. Next week on Monday, I will be in South Bend talking about cover crops, going into a deep dive with that. It's open to the public. So anyone in South Bend area, if you'd like to join us with their working group in South Bend, you're welcome. to come along. On the 18th, there's a women's learning circle. So working with Allen County Soil and Water to have a women's learning circle where we're going to talk about urban soil health, cover crops, walking around the Bloomingdale Gardens, which is a really fun project that they're doing in partnership with a community that is one of the poorer areas in the Fort Wayne, and showing just some of the different conservation practices on a small scale. And then for everyone everywhere, Earth Day is coming on 4/22. So I hope you guys have lots of great plans. And then way in the future, in July, we've got the second part for the soil health in the small farm in Kosciuszko County. It's just south of their borders in North Manchester on July 19th, where we'll be touring Hawkins Farm, eating some of their pizza on a Friday night. So it'll be a really fun events coming up. And then got some links in the chat for all the different things that are coming up in the Northeast. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Terry. I really love the idea of that soil health on the small farm part too. I'm looking forward to eating pizza at Hawkins Farm for sure.
It's delicious.
Next we have the Southwest, which would be Casey Kennett. So Ellie's going to take over for Casey.
Yeah, the stomach bug is really going around. So with the Southwest, Casey is participating with District 6 Market, which is a local greenhouse and market selling starts here in Vigo County. And they are doing a series called Industry Days, where they had their kickoff about soil health and gardening, and they'll be doing another one upcoming. Also, Morgan County, their fish group hosted a spring gardening event. And there's photos of that on the next slide. She's also been working with some of the new staff with soil and water districts and the working groups, doing site visit and soil sampling training, and also getting out on farms. And then coming up April 13th, there's a spring garden workshop in Owen County, and that's on Bree Ayers farm at Copper Cataract Homestead, and I'll drop that in the chat. April 20th, they're also doing a Earth Day focused event at Bloomingfield's Co-op Market, where the soil health trailer will be. And then on April 25th, the upcoming District 6 second of the series. Next slide. So here's just an image of District 6 that shows the scale of their operation here. I think they've been around at least 6 years and have numerous high tunnels producing both your bedding plants and vegetable starts here. So they're starting to try to incorporate more educational opportunities in what they offer to the public. And then the fish group doing tarping on raised beds, showing that no matter the scale, you can mulch, you can tarp, you can integrate cover crops, no matter how big the production area. Next, I think that's back to you, Megan.
Thank you, Ellie. So I'm in the Southeast, and we were in the path of totality for yesterday's eclipse. So got to experience that. It was pretty cool and dramatic. I just wanted to give a big shout out to the generosity and creativity of some of my region's soil and water conservation districts. I was able to attend the annual meetings of Switzerland County, Dearborn County, Ohio County, Crawford County, and Lawrence County, all just were really well attended. And it was great to just see farmers out celebrating the work that they've done. Also, as a reminder, it's soil testing season. So obviously, I've been doing a lot of site visits and providing technical assistance to growers. And if you all know growers who need some of that, please be in touch with your regional specialist. And the regional specialist can either utilize that time with the grower, or we can even use it as a teaching tool for some of our working groups. I started work on the SARE grant that I received for the 2024-2026 season, which is looking at utilizing microbially complete compost to inoculate local composts for long-term soil health sustainability locally. And I'll be working with 3 farmers on that grant and a soil lab tech to measure what kind of microbial life we're able to produce through this inoculation. So we're really excited about that. And then I'm working on lots of workshops all over the Southeast region. So on the 17th from 6 to 8, Clark County Soil Working Group has their ongoing Yard Sprouts workshop series. This one is called Going Native, Utilizing Natives for Pollinator Support, and that's going to be at Endress Park in Clarksville. Additionally, that morning, I'll be presenting on garden preparation for a healthy growing season all year long at the Tech Center in Vivi. On the 20th, the Harrison County Master Gardeners Spring Workshop is happening from 8:30 to 12:30. They'll also have a plant sale there, and I'll be presenting on the basics of soil health and prepping for a dynamic microbial life. And then on the 22nd, I'm really excited. We're sort of having our kickoff party for our Grass to Garden series, which is creating a demonstration garden in North Vernon's Muscatatuck County Park in partnership with the Parks Department there, the Soil and Water Conservation District at Jennings County, as well as our NRCS district conservationists. So we're really excited. It's going to be a hands-on workshop where we're literally removing the tarp that day, and then we will work to actually prep that space and then plant into it. So please come, it'll be fun. And then on the 27th, our very well attended Purdue Pollinator Days is happening from 10 to 3 at Purdue Research Park in New Albany. So we would love to see you all there if you have the time to travel to the Southeast. I've just got some flyers for those workshops that are coming up so that you guys can see all of the work that's happening in the Southeast. And I'm sure I've missed some events for sure. So we are excited about the spring season kicking off, and just really happy to engage with the public and help these projects get off the ground. Ellie, did you want to talk about our advisory council meeting?
Just very briefly wanted to mention that we did kick off our advisory council, which is a new step for us. It's a way of having us be vulnerable and also opening ourselves up to really gathering the great ideas from people that are our cheerleaders and have an investment in seeing the future of this urban soil health program. So I'm really honored and thankful for those who have participated in the kickoff, and there's others that wanted to be there in person and couldn't be. And so we just look forward to gathering their advice and again, just launching us into this new phase of our program where we've been around for 3 years, but have a lot of growth to come, and are breaking up our council into and our urban soil health program into thinking about 3 different buckets of marketing, money, and mission. You know, how do we do the work, talk about and bring in more people into our work, and finance it for the future. And then also this, at the end of this week, you'll receive our Urban Soil Health Annual Report from 2023. I know we're well into 24 already, but a good moment to look back at where we've come from the previous year. And then next slide. So we throw a lot of events out at these urban updates, but wanted to drive you again to our USH newsletter, which comes out monthly and is a primary point for you to see all of the events happening. So I'll pop that link in the chat. If you're not subscribed, please do. And hopefully that's useful for you finding out more about everything happening across the state and what we've been up to. That's all I have. Except that's not all I have. So we wanted to be able to share with you today our mulching overview, and we're going to hold off on that until following urban updates, because we have a mulching calculator that's almost complete as well. So there'll be this 4-page overview document to help producers with both primarily natural mulches, and giving a good overview on its utilization. And then the calculator can really help support growers with thinking through application rates, amounts, quantities, as well as be used for programs through NRCS as well. So keep a lookout for that coming on our programs and technology meetings for those of you with NRCS, and then we'll release that on a following urban updates as well.
All right. If any of our partners have any events or news they'd like to share, please do so now. Anyone? Going once, going twice. Well, if you think of something in the interim, please share it in the chat and we'll try to share that out as well. For any of you who want to continue learning more about urban soil health, as well as some technical topics that we'll be sharing, our next meeting is May 14th, same time via Zoom. Please feel free to reach out if you have anything that you need to share or want to share. We are happy to be the voice for every one of our partners. So with that, looks like we are finishing just a little bit early. Thank you so much for your time and attention. It's really great to learn about wool as a mulch, as well as our partners with the pollinator partnership. Really excited to get this growing season going. So thank you again, everyone, and we will see you next month. Thanks so much.